Welcome back, everybody. Episode 70 of the Harsh Review. We're an entertainment podcast. My name is Sean, and with me is my brother Ryan.
Hey.
Hey. And we've got some news, trailer talk, and a couple movies. We'll be talking about Highwaymen and Legend of Cocaine Island, both Netflix movies. How's your week been, man?
Good. You know, I'm not trying to take this show to a level of juvenilia, but having a bit of a gas issue today, Sean.
Oh, yeah?
And, the main culprit is not a bowl of chili or a breakfast burrito. It's a product called Huel.
Oh, you bought it, dude.
Yeah, I've been doing it for about a month. And then,
I have that.
Yeah, you told me about
That's
it. And
right.
I was like,
well, shit, I didn't get my little
referral
credit.
Yeah, well, it's been treating me okay. I've been alternating it with my usual, vegetable fruit shake smoothie in the morning. So, and then today it's just ungodly.
It's like the worst too, dude. It's like from the depths of hell does that smell come from?
my dog thinks I'm Satan. He's like,
oh yeah,
what's going on, dude? You all right?
It's so bad.
What was that sound?
You're just like a whistle, dude, all day. You're like moving around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna want to walk and talk. I don't want to stay stationary with this loaded weapon.
Yeah. Like when I'm talking to people, I'm like 10 feet away from them in the corner. Just like,
hey. It's like every 5 minutes, it's just
it's crop dusting everybody.
It's nonstop, and it's the worst.
Yeah, it's so
a great
bad.
product, but oh my god,
is.
it turns you.
I mean, I like what it does for me. It gives me some energy. I know I'm getting my vitamins. I'm taking supplements, but I know I'm getting my everything I need. It's that the cost is like, I'm glad I'm taking this.
That starts to tone down a bit, but if you have like any kind of carbonated beverages and stuff throughout the day, it amplifies it to like 10. So yeah, but it's like it's a morning breakfast drink. It's got a lot of healthy vitamins and proteins and oats and all kinds of healthy crap in it. So Huel, check it out if you want to fart all day for the first month.
Yeah.
And you can not use as much. I just slam the whole thing right away. So I'll make it and drink it within like 60 seconds and then move on.
Oh, yeah. I'm like kind of nursing it throughout the day because it basically has the consistency of like pancake batter.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a bit much, but yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I throw a couple things in there and it's,
All right. Well,
it is what it is.
Huel does a colon good.
Yeah.
All right, so
Shout out.
let's pound out some of these news stories we have. We'll kind of keep a good pace going for this episode.
Sure.
I have a couple articles. I know you got a couple things. We'll kick it off with this fun story, and this is about Nicolas Cage and how he spent his $150 million fortune. So a lot of people may know that Nicolas Cage was like the largest actor 90s, early 2000s. I mean, that's where he kind of got his name. He did like from 96 to 2011, he was like crushing it. He did Gone in 60 Seconds, National Treasure, Wind Talkers are some of them. Con Air, The Rock. Oh yeah, the list goes on. He was basically making like $20 million a film. In 2010, he ended up owing the IRS about $14 million. It's all been downhill for him for a while, so most of the crappy movies he does is you just got to keep the lights on. I'm going to go through a list of some things that he bought with his fortune and where it all went. He bought a vintage Superman comic, paid $150,000 to nab the first Superman comic titled Action Comics #1, and it was stolen from his house in 2000 and found 11 years later when it sold for over $2 million at an auction. He bought a Lamborghini Miura SVJ. It's a $446,000 car, most expensive car sold in an auction that year in Europe. He owns 2 islands in the Bahamas. He purchased more than 40 acres of a private island living that has been on the market for $3 million. And he has 4 luxury yachts totaling $20 million, including one named Sarita that had a jacuzzi, a gym, and slept 12 guests. This is all from People magazine, by the way. He owns a rare Tarbosaurus head. So he's a history buff, and he outbid Leonardo DiCaprio in 2007. He bought a 70 million year old dinosaur skull that cost him $276,000. But it was stolen, so he gave it back in 2015. Let's see. It goes on. You got 2 snakes and a pet octopus. Spent almost $500,000 on that. He owns 15 homes across the world.
Does the octopus play drums?
I don't know. Yeah. And 15 homes across the world. Blah, blah, blah. I know there's more of them on here. Where the hell is it at? The thing's not loading them all. And, yeah. So anyways, all kinds of wild stuff. We'll just call it right there. But that was kind of interesting to see what you spend your money on when you have that much cash.
Yeah, a little bit of excess. Quite like Johnny Depp. I know you talked about him a while ago.
Yeah, but now he's kind of broke. So
yeah, well,
there you go. That Tarbosaurus head, whatever the hell that thing looks like.
That is what I don't know what that is, but
yeah.
Well,
all right, batter up.
Yeah,
that's your cue.
Oh, okay. Well, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, another making some foolish stuff. It seems like he's pissed off Mussolini's granddaughter.
Okay.
So he is, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's an artist. Some of his stuff
he's really good.
Doesn't look too bad. I mean, yeah, it's really good. Pretty outspoken, though. So he posted not too long ago an illustration of former Italian dictator and his lover, both who were executed in 1945. They were hung upside down by their feet and displayed for everyone to see in fascist Italy. So he tweeted this image and included the caption, "If you're wondering what fascism leads to, just ask Benito Mussolini and his mistress Claretta." And then so there's an heir to the Mussolini lineage. It's his granddaughter. And so she basically just retorted with, you are a bastard. Pretty much.
Okay.
After that. And then, but it didn't end there because she kept just kind of going off and showing several images of stuff through American history and then asking Jim to illustrate those things. So, for example, a picture of a mushroom cloud. Hi, Jim Carrey, now draw this for us. Native Americans, and now Jim Carrey, draw this other. Pictures of slavery. Rosa Parks. Hi, Jim Carrey, do you know the history of Rosa Parks? Just kind of going down the list, all kinds of stuff. And then, as far as we know, Carrie is yet to respond, but she has been really kind of blowing up his, Twitter there. So
all right.
Kind of funny. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh?
Yeah. Some other news here. Avengers Endgame tickets, by the time this podcast airs, they would have been on sale for about a week now. And it's when they went live last Tuesday, they caused long waits and shutdowns in several fan sites, ticket sites. Fandango, AMC, Atom Tickets had issues, kept fans from buying their seats. By the time that people were getting there, most of the good seats have been taken. And then we have what happens after that. Predictably, they go on sale on bidding sites such as eBay. So a lot of these tickets were listed between $50 and $100, which is kind of crazy. But then there was a couple that were listed for $500 a ticket.
Come on, people.
Yeah, it's one listing on eBay for opening night show in Brooklyn, starting the bid at $50, and then there's the buy it now price of $500. 2 3D tickets for New York City, $250. One seat, opening, the price set hard $500 for the Chinese Theater in Hollywood Boulevard.
Everybody can see it. You don't have to see it right away.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, in this day and age, everyone's like tripping out about spoilers and, it's just stay off the internet.
That's true. That's true.
That's kind of what I was, when that Star Wars came out, I'm like, The Force Awakens, I was kind of like, all right, I want to see it, but not right away. I'm going to, give it a couple weeks and then I'll go to see it. Until then, anything I see on Facebook, I'll just scroll right past it. Do one of the fast scrolls. Don't even have to pay any attention to it. I don't watch the news anyway, so it doesn't matter. Nothing will be spoiled. So that's really all you have to do. People talk about it, just kind of walk away or change the subject.
Move on.
Yeah, but thought it was interesting what's kind of come down to. I mean, what if the movie ends up being shitty, then whatever, right?
Spoiler, people live.
Yeah. They're going to make other movies, so it's kind of like you can't just kill them off.
I know.
It doesn't work that way.
Just Captain America.
Yeah.
He's totally going to take it.
contract's up. So hey, we talked a while ago about Leaving Neverland, the expose documentary about Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. One of the accusers, named James Safechuck, talked a little bit about this train station that was at Neverland. Mm-hmm. However, something's come to light that has kind of blown some smoke and shade that way. Things don't really match up. So basically, Safechuck claimed he was abused from 88 to 92. A Jackson biographer named Mike Smallcombe pointed out that the dates don't match up because the train station wasn't built until 1993, which was about a year after he alleged the abuse ended and they stopped hanging out with them. So yeah, this was kind of interesting. Several accounts say the station they might have the wrong dates. They might have portrayed everything wrong, but it's kind of a big discrepancy there. So,
well, what do you think? Do you think does it change anything? I mean, maybe he got the dates wrong, or maybe he's embellishing. Does it still change anything? That's
what I'm saying. It's like this kind of little detail is just fodder for like the pro Michael Jackson people, because like, well, you know what, the dates actually don't match up, and but it's like, memory and time is very tricky, and so it's like, I mean, even if they have pictures dated of whatever years, it's still kind of irrelevant, and it's kind of like when you have traumatic details, I mean, it's very easy, I think, to mix and match like things you may have remembered with things that details that you might have seen of this. So it's like, I'm saying this story is because it's kind of a follow up to what we talked about, but also, I mean, I don't think it totally discredits his account. I mean, it's kind of a mere oversight, but again, it's just kind of like, hey, this guy might be lying, which I don't think he is, because he comes off as very believable and, pretty traumatized in the documentary. So
sure,
whatever. It's just it's just more excuse for people to go and blow everything up.
People just need to let it go, man. That dude was creepy when he was alive.
Yeah, I know. So, it's like now that he's dead, it's just this stuff still lingers, and who knows what will come out next. So
nice.
That's all I got in the news.
Okay, so here's
you got.
All right, so I got a couple other ones here. First one is what's his name? Charlie Kaufman. He's going to adapt I'm Thinking of Ending Things for Netflix.
Oh,
have you ever heard of that show?
No, I've heard of Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, I mean, the cast is going to include Jesse Plemons, your boy, Jesse Buckley, Tony Colletti,
Fat David,
and David Lewis. And quote, the film is a likely story production and will begin principal photography this month. This is from Balloon Art Info, whatever the hell website this is. So, anyways, it's a novel that was currently published in 17 territories, received star reviews, and it was also named NPR's Best Book of the Year in 2016. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a stunning debut that examines the fragility of the psyche and the limitations of solitude. On the road to meet his parents on their secluded farm, Jake's girlfriend is thinking about ending things when Jake makes an unexpected detour, leaving her stranded. A twisted mix of palpable tension, psychological frailty, and sheer terror ensues. So Charlie Kaufman's rad. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and he's done some very interesting things over the years. Yeah, I like that guy. Going back to, he wrote on Get a Life, that show from the Chris Elliott. He's done adaptation. I think adaptation is his best thing he's done. I love that movie.
Yeah, Nick Cage.
Yeah, there's the tie-in.
Hey. Well, thanks for stopping by, folks. No.
Yeah.
All right, so according to AmazonAdvisor.com, Amazon Prime and Netflix are reportedly merging in an effort to combat against other streaming services. So what's going to be interesting is like the content is going to rumored to start to coexist on each other's platforms. And this comes up because obviously Disney Plus is going to be a huge threat to a lot of people. And that comes out later this year. Apple TV Plus and Warner Media streaming service are all coming online this year. And so I don't know if you if you're one of those Apple guys that watches the press release, but Apple debuted Apple TV Plus. Do you know anything about this?
No, I've just kind of heard things in the wind, but not enough to. Probably when I was scrolling through those Avengers Endgame spoilers, I passed that one by too.
So what it basically is I watched it just to kind of check it out, and there's a sneak preview on their website, and they're kind of taking an Apple-esque approach to content because they're curating and doing their own content. I mean, they had all these celebrities on stage. They brought Steven Spielberg out, J.J. Abrams. They had like Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon were having a show on there. They brought Oprah out. So they had like Celebrity Fest, which for me it was kind of like a turnoff. Because then it's like once it starts to seem like this is what the popular people do, I mean, already like not interested. And
no thanks.
Yeah, what they've been dealing with it for a while. They've been trying to get people broadcasting, so now you can kind of just subscribe to HBO, Showtime, all those places on them. All your content goes into one hub, so you no longer would need to go into like Hulu or something like that. Like their content would publish all in one place.
I'm sorry.
What does this sound?
Todd is freaking out for some reason, and he's like going around in circles on the carpet.
The asshole's probably itching, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Itchy
Todd,
asshole.
get him out of here.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hey, life doesn't stop because the harsh review is recording a podcast.
Yeah.
I'll edit all this out anyways. I'm lying.
Of course.
So finally, Apple has something here, and they have all these new Apple TV channels, a bunch of new Apple content. It's like a subscription TV aggregation platform, which is probably the best way to put it. Very similar to like Amazon channels or like Hulu has, where you can like subscribe to these other channels and it kind of populates into Hulu's dashboard.
Yeah.
Looks like their interface and software is going to be pretty strong because Apple TV is a really good device for like just streaming. But Netflix is not involved. So you can still watch Netflix. It's just you're not going to sign up for Netflix via Apple TV like within the thing.
Maybe the navigation will improve.
Yeah, I mean, but the whole thing that they showed and touting everybody out on stage was kind of a yawn fest because they actually didn't really show you anything. They just talked about what they're going to do. And there's kind of more of like, we're going to do content that's like about like life and humanity a lot more as opposed to like just raw entertainment. Like there has to have some kind of like integrity or liberal substance to it. It's like a little just pompous. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Apple,
no, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Two things. I mean, first of all, I'm sure Steve Jobs would have never approved of that bullshit move. Yeah. And second of all, when you have to bring all these celebrities out, it's just like you're kind of covering up for something that may not be all that great.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look at all this fluff we have here. It's just kind of like you don't need that because you guys are pretty much the biggest manufacturer of content in the world. So it's like, it's just superfluous. You don't need all that shit.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Speaking the truth, brother.
That's right. Rock on.
Rock on. And yeah, so let's see. I got a couple more here and then we're going to move on. So we'll see if they combine. If they do, then essentially that means you don't need to pay for both. I'm taking it. So, you know what I mean? Like if Amazon and Netflix do quote unquote merge, then I don't know how that works as far as price. Do they split the profits or I don't know, but it will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, so this last one's kind of fun. We're going to talk about 20 actors who last out on iconic roles because they were trapped in other roles. And I want you to say yay or like, are you happy that it went that way or not?
So we'll play a game?
It's a little game.
Okay.
All right, so you just tell me if who's the loser here. Like if they won or lost, right? So they either dodged a bullet by missing that role or they lost because they didn't get it and they should have. First one is Tom Selleck for Indiana Jones. He couldn't do it because of contract reasons. So who's the loser here?
He is.
Tom Selleck. Yeah, he lost out. That was a great role.
I mean, Magnum P.I., he had, with his short shorts and the Dobermans. But, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
That's all you had going for you. That and that mustache.
Yeah. All right, Charlie Hunnam, Sons of Anarchy. Christian Grey, 50 Shades of Grey. So obviously, Jax missed out on being the guy from 50 Shades of Grey because he was in a contract for Sons of Anarchy. Did he dodge a bullet, or is he a loser?
Dodge a bullet, but also footnote, don't give a shit.
Yep.
All
right.
Don't care about 50 Shades of Grey. Don't give a shit.
I'm skipping some of these. So Jennifer Lawrence, who is doing Joy,
J-Law,
missed out on the opportunity to play Daisy Domergue in Hateful Eight.
Daisy Domergue.
Domergue, yes. So, have you seen Joy?
No, I haven't seen that one. I heard it was a little overdone. Yeah.
So she probably lost out, huh?
Yeah, but I think Jennifer Jason Leigh did an outstanding job in that role. Just being so ugly and hateful. So yeah.
Here's one that our buddy Matt over at NFHC Podcast is probably a little bit, Grimwolf Prime losing some sleep over this one. Matt Damon, who was playing Jason Bourne in the Bourne Ultimatum series, missed out on the opportunity to play Jake Sully in Avatar.
Oh, I think he not dodged a bullet, because look how much money those things are making. So it's
totally because of that.
I had to check myself. That would have been like signing your soul to the devil.
Yeah, he lost out. I mean,
yeah.
Who could say that you've been in the most profitable movie of all time? But
sure.
At the same time, yeah.
Hey.
Let's skip a couple here. So Kevin Costner was doing Waterworld, and he missed out on the opportunity to play Andy Dufresne in The Shawshank Redemption.
His loss, dude. That's like one of the greatest movies ever made.
Over Waterworld, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's like you drink your own piss, or you get reamed in the butt for 8 years, and then you dig your way out of a prison.
Yeah, because of the sisters.
Yeah.
All right. Angelina Jolie was doing a movie called In the Land of Blood and Honey, and missed out the opportunity to play Ryan Stone from Gravity. Don't really care about either of these, but I mean, that was Sandra Bullock's character.
Yeah, a movie didn't end up being so good, so I think dodged a bullet.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, no one saw Blood of Honey or whatever that's called, so another who gives a shit.
You know who Burt Ward is?
Burt Ward. Look, give me a second. He is. He played Rocky's bodyguard, I believe.
And what else?
Let's see here. He was also in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
He was also Robin, the sidekick to Batman.
Oh, same guy, right?
Yeah. So he was doing Batman with Adam West and missed out on the chance to play Ben Braddock in The Graduate.
I think it's a different guy, I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So, I would say, I mean, it's kind of like a lining up careers, because that Graduate's a great movie that launched the career of Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
So I think it's his loss, because it's but Dustin Hoffman did such a great job in that film, so it's kind of fortuitous for him, I guess. Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah. All right. Johnny Depp was doing a movie called Private Resort, which meant he missed out on the opportunity to do Ferris Bueller.
Wow.
Do you think he would have done better than Matthew Broderick? Because these are first picks. These are people who.
I think he dodged a bullet because the principal was a pedophile. So, good for him. God was with him that day.
9 times.
9 times.
Couple more, and we're moving on. Leonardo DiCaprio was doing The Beach, so he missed out on the opportunity to play Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Another again, that was kind of a role where it's after Christian Bale did that movie, you started thinking of him a little differently, Mm-hmm. So I mean, The Beach was okay. I liked the book a lot better. I do remember
the book is rad.
I think we both read it, and it was it's the movie. It was just kind of a letdown. Not Danny Boyle didn't do a terrible job, but it's sometimes book doesn't always translate to film that well. So
it wasn't violent enough. It wasn't twisted enough. What I mean?
But it's interestingly enough, it's DiCaprio got his day eventually, and he started doing stuff where you started thinking of him differently. Much, Brad Pitt the same. So it's kind of things kind of work out, I guess.
I like to imagine The Beach now. If you go back and watch it, is what happens when a bunch of Instagram influencers have a bad trip.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that would have been something you would have seen a lot. All right, I have two more.
All right.
Tom Cruise was doing all the right moves, and he missed out the chance to play Ren McCormick in Footloose.
The two movies that are pretty much the same movie to me. So it's like, Kevin Bacon, then you would have like one less 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon category there. So
he's not wrong.
Yeah, but whatever. That was like Tom Cruise. It was kind of finding himself there in the 80s, and
look
where
that was
he's at
before
now.
Xenu showed up, right?
Yeah, that changed his whole life.
Yeah,
and mine.
Oh,
I have a Thetan level 2.
That changed everything on the harsh
I don't know if
reviewing.
you knew that or not, but
all of a sudden I'm like, these people are following me around. What's going on, brother?
I'm just handing out copies of Dianetics to everybody,
All right, last one. Tim Roth was playing it was the dude in the Planet of the Apes. I don't remember his name, the general guy. And because of that, he missed out on playing the opportunity of Severus Snape in Harry Potter.
Yeah, and Snape was let me think back. That was Hans Gruber, right?
Yeah, Alan Rickman.
Yeah. I can see, I don't think it's a big thing. It's like that's a good role for Alan Rickman.
Yeah, it is. That's actually he was actually the first person that J.K. Rowling wanted. But there was something that wasn't working out, so they went to Tim Roth, and he wasn't available, and then Rickman became
I like Tim
available.
Roth. Like, I haven't seen him do a ton of stuff, but I just don't really see him in that.
I don't either.
At all. It's like
Alan Rickman is like
certain people make the role, and it's like Alan Rickman knocked that out of the park, I think. So good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite thing of last week, and that was the trailer for the Joker.
Yes.
What'd you think, man?
Oh man, this looks so good. I watched it today, and I was like thinking back to all the talk about it, and they were saying it was like they were comparing it to Taxi Driver, and I was like, and then after the preview, I totally got it. I'm like, yeah, this is like pretty much. It had the look of like New York at a certain time period, but it also had like that slow kind of building insanity.
And it has De Niro.
And De Niro, and it looks like he's playing like a talk show host.
Yeah, he is.
Which is kind of cool because King of Comedy, he was like a wannabe talk show host, and that's still one of my favorites that you need to see now on Netflix. But kind of turns around. It's like he was like a wannabe talk show host. On that, so now he's like playing that role, which looks pretty cool. I mean, Joaquin looks great. I mean, like I never really doubted his casting in the first place, because he is kind of a nut. But it's like it looks good in terms of like the slow build. So it's for people expecting this to be a direct Batman tie-in, you're going to be kind of disappointed. But there are a lot of clues in the preview that allude to. Bruce, there's one alluding to Bruce Wayne,
The little kid, right?
Yeah, so little kid. There's Bruce Wayne's dad who says something about like a menace.
Because he was the mayor, wasn't he?
Yeah. So you have those things. So then also in the cast, there's like Alfred Pennyworth is listed in the cast. I don't know if I saw him in the preview or not.
But the Joker wasn't really the one that killed Bruce Wayne's parents, was he? Wasn't it like one of the henchmen? Like it depends on which.
Yeah,
I don't remember the guy's name, but it's been interpreted
it depends.
a couple ways.
Yeah, it kind of depends on everything. So it just shows like basically in the preview, if you haven't seen it, it's like he's this guy who's like trying to find himself. He's like playing this clown. Doing the advertisements. He's kind of getting beaten down and knocked around. He starts doing like stand up comedy. Certain things are kind of like starting to fall apart. It's like he has a girl, but it's like we don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, it just looks really good in terms of like just showing that kind of like true origin story or just like a standalone movie, like kind of like a Logan, where it's like I don't know if this is going to work, and then it's like yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see this. Have no doubt like Todd Phillips is going to make it look good. I mean, already looking good. Scorsese's executive producing it, so you have that kind of gritty 70s look stamp that Scorsese's known for. Yeah, so I'm really very excited about this. I think it's going to do well.
I think it's going to be, what do you think the movie's actually going to be about?
Basically, I mean, if we look at Taxi Driver again, it's just going to be like this guy's like descent into madness, and it's really kind of a result of the environment. So I think, like movies like Taxi Driver, like, it's like where the city plays a character, so you have the same in like, I'll just name some other like Scorsese films like Mean Streets or even Gangs in New York, where it's like the city is like a character. So, and it's like that urban decay, kind of meeting, meeting people. So it's kind of like, to me, it looks like that is going to be an influence that kind of depicts this guy slowly losing his mind over time, which we kind of know is going to happen, but it's like, it's interesting to see how that kind of happens. It's never really been examined. It's good when they kind of show the villain and make the movie about that person. They did that with Venom, and it kind of sucked. So it was like, and this is coming out ironically the same month as Venom. So it's like, I think we're going to get what we wanted, in Venom with this movie.
With Venom 2?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm comparing this one to Venom.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Where you're taking the villain and you're kind of showing their origin story.
So
Joker's coming out in October. Venom was released last October.
Oh, gotcha. So I think it's, if you pause it and look at what he's writing in his notebook, he writes down, the worst part about having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't. And that's where he's like making the word don't really big. And so it kind of cues that I think that this is going to have some tones connected to like what's going on with these people and their mass shootings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People that go crazy because, there's a lot of scenes where like he's standing in the elevator and he's trying to ignore like the guy who's like freaking and screaming. And it's kind of like, symbolic for maybe what's going on inside of him. And it's like his descent into madness. He's getting bullied a lot, and that kind of pushes him to this point. So like think it's going to be pretty edgy. And I think that people might have a hard time enjoying it, because if it is a little bit too on the nose with like the political message, people are going to look past that. It's a comic book movie, and they're going to kind of just see this as a story of like how a villain is created as a product of their environment,
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see what their message is. I think that you're going to see the first hour of the movie, or the first half of the movie, is going to be his descent, and then the second half is going to be his rise, so to speak. They could play it differently and go longer into the descent to where they just continue to kick him when he's down, so that you kind of have empathy for him. But they're going to have to walk that fine line of like, you're making a villain here who's going to do lots of horrible things. How do you not root for the guy but still feel for the guy? It's going to be interesting. I haven't seen anything like this in a while.
Yeah, and I did say earlier New York, and that's my mistake. This is Gotham, but it's unmistakably like a New York kind of feel, like a Times Square in the 70s. But also interesting little thing that you mentioned about like the mass shootings and stuff. You do see a little quick little clip in the preview of a Holmes Pharmacy, and Holmes is actually the surname of the guy who did that shooting at the Dark Knight Returns film in Colorado. I don't know if that's like a direct tie-in or whatever, but it's kind of even if it is, it's like kind of a tragic coincidence. But yeah, like this is like, this movie makes that kind of like villain thing like very real. It takes it out of that comic book thing and makes like this kind of stuff very real, where it's like maybe the villains in all the comic books are more real than the heroes, because they have like real psychoses and real things that people actually deal with. Whereas the heroes, their stuff is a little more symbolic or like exaggerated for effect. So like that, this movie will do a good job of like depicting that. Whereas like this stuff is like, it's kind of happening now, but it's also, even though it's been in the comic books for years, just we haven't really kind of looked at the illusions.
Sure.
All
right.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
We'll see. It's just a teaser, so I'm sure more will come out
Yeah, it's a couple minutes, but
yeah.
That was good enough for me. So,
all right, so let's move into the 2 movies. We're going to be talking about a couple Netflix movies.
Yep.
We're going to be talking spoilers and stuff within these. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about these ones without, but they're not huge movies where if you don't really care, especially with Highwaymen, you're not really missing out on anything. The other one,
Highwaymen, not to be confused with the supergroup Country Stars.
Yes, yeah. So let's talk about that. So Highwaymen.
Okay.
It stars. It's got actually a good cast. It's got Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, and what's her Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
It's got the Zodiac Killer.
I know him as Marge's wife in Fargo.
Yeah.
I drew a stamp on. It was it was a goose.
Who else is in this one?
I'll get up and I'll make you some eggs, Margie.
Yeah.
I'll make you some.
He
eggs.
was the the sheriff or whatever his name he was, right? What was
he was like the chief deputy or whatever.
Yeah. And then who else did we have? We had
you had Death. You had Death.
Death. What?
Yeah, you played the guy that
Bill
played Death,
Ted?
and he was also the guy
Shawshank?
that Brooks tried to stab in Shawshank.
Who was he in here?
His name's William Sadler. He played Clyde's dad.
That's right. He did good.
So, yeah, he did a really good job. That guy's a good actor.
You got Dan from what's it called? Deadwood?
Yep. Yeah. Or as we also know him, what's his name? Does anyone want to see him at baseball?
What?
Warren. He played Warren. He played Warren in Something About Mary.
Oh, okay. Oh, he
That's
did.
Warren. That's Warren. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, that's right. Wow.
That's the same. Yeah, right? It's like, whoa. Like the dude from Deadwood is that guy. Because he's so hard, like a Deadwood.
Yeah. Anyone else I'm forgetting?
I think that's pretty much like the bulk of it.
Yeah. So to kind of lay a little bit of the groundwork, it's about the 2 guys, the Texas Rangers that were hired to hunt down Bonnie and Clyde. Everybody knows the name, but I learned a lot about them that I didn't know before going into this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys don't really know, I mean, it's Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, and they were American criminals who traveled central United States with their gang during the Great Depression. They robbed banks and stores, killed lots of people, including police officers, and they were kind of like celebrities, to be honest.
Yeah. Totally.
Big celebrities in America because it was kind of like people taking things back into their own hands after the Depression. But they were eventually killed after 3 years of terror in 1934 in Gibbsland, Bienville Parish, Louisiana.
Right. And the car, that was the famous car that they were in that got shut up. I've seen that at I think we both saw it.
Yeah.
At it's like Mandalay Bay or something, or New York.
No, it's at the Wild Bills or the Prim at State Line.
Oh, that shitty. Yeah. Okay.
When you're driving out from like L.A. to Vegas, it's the one on your left, but it wasn't
basically
Wild Bills at one point.
Everyone who's been excommunicated from Vegas, they go there. It's like,
that place is so rough.
Yeah.
It's just depressing. But
yeah.
Anyway, so Kevin Costner kind of gets pulled into line of duty, by the Zodiac Killer, and he's like, "Hey, we really need your help doing this, right?" And then the CEO for Sabre paper company, she doesn't want him. She's obviously the governor of the state. She doesn't really want them on board, but eventually she concedes after Bonnie and Clyde keep whooping ass.
She said Kevin Costner, he's the devil.
Yeah, he's the devil.
He's a foosball.
Bobby Boucher's mom was
you hanging out with that Vicky Valancourt?
Yeah. Hey, if you had to say what part of the snake are you eating, what would you say? Well, that would be his knee. His knee.
Great movie.
All right.
Where were we?
Devil. I don't know.
I don't know.
So yeah. Anyway, so they bring him in, and then he decides to go and enlist an old, Texas Ranger Woody Harrelson, who's basically kind of played this character a little bit much, but I kind of like him as that character.
And with Woody Harrelson as an actor, it's like he's always kind of playing a version of himself.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I mean, it's like not everybody has to do this method acting stuff.
It's like
he's always
Kevin Costner's dropping bombs on screen. You know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, right. Like I've been dropping bombs all day thanks to you.
Hey.
Hey-o.
Yeah, so they go on, and then they just start kind of hunting them down with little means, and no one really wants them to succeed because they're kind of up against the police force. But Kevin Costner is like really wise tracker, and he kind of comes up with a way to like map where they're going and try to guess where, what their habits are. He just goes and buys a shit ton of guns. And
that was a great scene too.
Oh, that was really cool. It's probably one of the best scenes where he kind of just walked in with some swagger and just bought like 15 guns.
And I like the look of the movie. I like movies set in this time period. They brought to mind like Miller's Crossing, Road to Perdition, Lawless. Mm-hmm. Movies like that, where it's like you have the old like crank up cars, and the guns are cool, and the kind of the clothes are cool. So it did a good job of capturing the overall look, which like it's been depicted pre like 70s. It was always on like some backlot.
I appreciate it because like for a Netflix production, like they need to do more movies like this because I really enjoyed it.
I would have I think this would have been
like
a
box office movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like it could have been even like a limited run kind of thing, like an art house kind of looking movie, because it is pretty bleak. At times I got like No Country vibe, like No Country for Old Men, just kind of in the way it depicted like end of an era, one good versus evil kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean it's like about time Netflix, like you came out with a quality film that like that you could see playing in a theater somewhere.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's you don't really feel like they cut any corners because you're not doing CGI. So I think that unless you're going to do CGI right, don't do it. And that's something that we've learned in the 2000s, late 90s, when it came to a point where like, just stop it already. If you can't do it right, don't do it.
Watch The Matrix like these days.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
Watch Blade.
But then it was on top. It was on par. You know?
It's like, whoa.
But your eyes evolve, and there's a certain standard now that, and so it was nice that they just didn't do it.
Which was set by Avatar, by the way.
Yeah. The
shout out Grimwolf Prime.
The other elements of it, that I kind of appreciated is that it's from the point of view of the Rangers, so they don't really ever show you Bonnie and Clyde.
Right.
You know their presence. There's more their silhouettes and stuff, but you don't really see them. They don't have any speaking lines or anything. They're always kind of like they're always there. They have a high presence in the movie, but they're not the focal point at all. And so it's kind of nice that they did that.
I think it was cool because that's been done before. Have you seen Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah, with Warren Beatty.
What'd you think about that?
It's terrible.
You don't like it?
Well, no. I mean, they just okay. So what was interesting is that I didn't know they were that popular. I mean, like 15,000, 20,000 people went to their funerals. And people really idolize them, but it's like, they're murderers, idiots,
cold-blooded.
Yeah. So anyways, I just kind of felt it's been like 20 years since I've seen Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah. But it kind of just romanticized it a lot more.
Totally.
It didn't really have that kind of grit, you know what I mean?
And like that ending scene in the original Bonnie and Clyde was like, at that point, was like one of the bloodiest scenes, and it's like, okay, like I think the scene in this film, it's like not a spoiler, but it's like they're going to capture and kill these people. I think that was way more gruesome. It's shown in this film, but it's just like that's kind of the ending that you're going to think is going to happen. I mean, that's you kind of know what's going to happen. Like I said earlier, it's just kind of the journey, and the character development is what makes it more interesting.
No, I agree. I agree. So the, so it kind of comes down to what they also filmed the the end scene where they kill Bonnie and Clyde at the actual location that it happened on the same exact road. And they set it all up that same way. They hid in the bushes, and Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson both kind of said it was like creepy and surreal because people actually did it, and they reenacted it the same way according to count that they could. But I did some research on it. So what happens is they were kind of going from like family member's house to family member's house. So when they got split up from their crew, they had their meeting points. And this guy's son was running with Bonnie and Clyde, and they said, hey, we know that Bonnie and Clyde are staying at your house, or they've stayed at your house in the past, because they broke in and kind of found clothes and brushes and stuff like that. That was
Warren, right?
Yeah. And so they said, if your son can break free, and we'll know that they'll meet here. But if your son doesn't get away, then they have no reason to rendezvous at your house. So he somehow got to his son and said, hey, there's a way for you out. Break away from them. They'll come back here to meet him, and we'll intercept them on the road to my cabin out in the Louisiana swamp, basically. So they had him post up his car on the side of the road with like a broken wheel to slow down the oncoming car because they knew that they were going to stop for him, because he kind of had like an iconic pickup truck, which a lot of people didn't have at that time. So Bonnie and Clyde would have recognized, like, oh, we know this. This is the guy's house we're driving to. Yeah. And so when they slow down, that's when these 2 Texas Rangers plus 4 local sheriffs jump out of the bushes and then just light this car up with over 150 rounds.
Dude, crazy.
So this is where it gets weird, though, is that there were probably 3 or 4 different counts of like how it went down. And they tried to capture it as best as they felt. That kind of like blended all these accounts together, because in the movie, Kevin Costner's character, Frank Hamer, he says like, I'm going to step out by myself first, and when I give the signal, you guys come out. And so Bonnie and Clyde pull over, he steps out, and he's like, hands up. And the next thing you know,
total like cowboy move.
It was like, okay. And then everybody else comes out of the bushes, and then they show like Bonnie and Clyde have like this oh shit look on their face. She kind of like reaches for a gun, and then they just and then it just proceeds to just light the car up for like 2 minutes, and it just shows their bodies all jiggling into place and bullets flying everywhere. But that's
doing
not
the bullet shuffle.
That's not quite how it actually went down.
Oh, okay.
It is, because then you saw the car kind of slowly roll off the road, and they kept shooting it. So they kind of started with their automatic rifles and their machine guns, basically. Then they transitioned to shotguns, and when those were empty, they transitioned to pistols and emptied every single thing that they had. There's no surviving this. But one of the guys was trigger happy. Oliver, I think was his name, like one of the Louisiana sheriffs, and just shot Clyde right in the head, and then that started the whole thing. And so they said that he was already dead, with his spine got separated from his skull, like on the first bullet. But wonderful. Then they just lit them up. But like the car tried to speed away and that kind of stuff as well. You know what I mean? So and it went about 50 yards down the road, not like 15 feet, like it kind of showed in the movie.
Yeah.
So a lot more like action oriented rather than this just murder him. Like they said that they never gave him a chance to surrender. They knew they're just gonna kill him. And that's what they did. So it doesn't really matter. They weren't going to have him arrested or anything like that. And then they drag him through town, right? And they have like the car hitched up, and like the townspeople are swarming this car, freaking out, right? Ripping, people are cutting off locks of hair, trying to rip off pieces of clothes. Like their dead bodies are in this car. And like that actually happened. Like people tried cutting off their fingers and pieces of their ear, because they were just like fanatical for Bonnie and Clyde. And later on sold it as like part of like restitution for the Rangers. They only made like $200 each for ended up doing it. Plus the 4 state police from Louisiana, they got to keep the car and all the guns and all the possessions to do what they want with. And so they all kind of divvied out everything. Like some people, like one guy kept the saxophone that was Clyde's. One guy kept some of the guns. One guy got the car, and then like the family kept trying to like fight to get these things back, but they like nope. They auctioned all this stuff off. They had bloody clothes, like, and they just went and sold it all to make money. So everybody just like it turned into some huge auction house for all the stuff that they got. And that's kind of how the car got to Prim. Was it just went from hands to hands. It was on display at a long time in like a movie museum, and then it just ended up in Vegas, where they used to charge you $1 to sit in it. You know, not anymore. It just sits there and you look at it, which you know it's kind of cool to see because it's an old '30s car, but full of bullet holes. But you know that's the story of it. But
interesting.
I thought it was just kind of interesting. It's really cool reading up the history. Like I love these movies where you watch it and then you're really curious about like history and you start learning about facts on stuff that you thought you knew and you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we also forgot to call out Kim Dickens, who played Hamer's wife. She was the other gal from Deadwood.
Yeah, that's right. She was also in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. Well, way to bring it down a notch. Yeah. I thought it was a good movie. It's a fun watch. Man. Yeah, it's well made. Kevin Costner's pretty cool in it for once. Like he plays the character as he should. He doesn't embellish it. So he was good in this one, and
he was good. I mean, great. Like Kevin Costner played. You know, it's good that he had no hand in like directing this. First of all,
what was the last thing he's done that you liked? What's like.
What was that movie where he played? Was it Mr. Jones or something? Like he played like a serial killer.
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
It was a pretty good movie. I mean, it was like he was like this, you know, like in a suburban, and it was like, I thought he was pretty good in that because it's like, you know, he breaks. Mr. Brooks, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of, you know, it did pretty well. It's like he's this businessman, he has this secret, you know, but he likes to kill. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, but so I thought it was good from that because it broke tight. But it's like, I've never been like a huge fan of his, you know, but in this movie he did pretty good. I mean, I thought he was all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he's like in a movie like Hidden Figures, for example, I thought he was pretty good in because he wasn't the main character, but he played a good like NASA boss, like a prick, pretty well.
Yeah,
I liked him like in Man of Steel as Superman's daddy. You know, he's good in those kind of like doses, but like it's just strange when you get him full on. Like after a while, you're kind of like, all right, pal. But he did fine. He was great. So Woody was cool. You know, you can't really ever go wrong with him. So there you have it. Check it out. Highwaymen on Netflix now.
Yeah, very good.
All right. What's the next one? You take it away.
All right. So the next one was I heard about this from I saw a Reddit post and I was like, what's this all about? You know, because Netflix, I think overall their documentaries are pretty good. So this one takes on a very wild story. Very wild, fantastical story that takes place in everyone's favorite state of Florida. Called The Legend of Cocaine Island.
Yeah, you told me to watch this one, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, like what's going on here? So interesting premise, and I just want to give kind of like a little rundown of it. Not you know, mentioning every little detail, but one good thing they established pretty early on is some guy says like two different ways of telling the story. In the North, it starts with once upon a time, and in the South, it starts with you're all not going to believe this shit, which is pretty much sets up this film very well because you really don't believe this shit. It centers on a guy named Rodney Hayden who. You know, he's a pretty well-to-do like real estate guy living in Florida. He's like buying up everything now. You know, he's getting the jet ski, he's got the pool, his wife's loving it, and then that big crash came with the economy around what was it, like mid 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2006, 2007.
Yeah, and then it's like he kind of loses everything. He has to relocate, pack up everything, and he goes on to this like he buys. I don't know how he did it if he was so in debt, but he bought like this farm or like this
He
spread,
had it. It was a
spread of
family thing.
land. Yeah, so he relocated this spread of land where they were kind of packed into a very small place. Staying there for a little while, comes across a fellow who's kind of like this local hippie guy, who tells him this story that's kind of crazy about basically this hippie guy was on an island living near Puerto Rico. And one day on the beach, a big bag of coke washed up. And this was like, certain time period, as if you've seen Narcos.
70 pounds to be accurate.
Yeah. So, not like a baggie, we're talking a duffel bag filled with several bundles, uncut, most likely cocaine. This was pretty common, actually, like looking up in the stuff and reading about this stuff just over the years is like they make these crazy runs. And you see this too in what's that, American Made, or is that what it's called? The Tom Cruise one. When they transport this stuff on plane, like they do these drops, so they drop them off in certain locations. Sometimes they wouldn't get it quite right. So this is pretty much what happened. So he finds this stuff. He's like, doesn't know what the hell to do with it or even how to offload it. So he's like kind of debating. After much debate, he just ends up burying it, They make another illusion. It's like kind of like a dog who keeps playing with a bone or something, So guy ends up burying it, leaves the island eventually, goes to Florida, and this is where he starts telling the story to a bunch of random people. So Rodney is one of these people that hears it, and then Rodney starts to assemble kind of by chance like this gang of people.
Well, first one he was helping out that local guy, right?
Yeah,
like Rodney liked to help, give charity to strangers around town.
They said, they were saying they said he liked to take in strays,
right,
So one of these guys was a guy named Andy. He's a very interesting dude.
Yeah, that guy's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, just like the total druggie. Like you could tell in the pauses and like starting to grasp for thoughts and stuff.
Sure.
So what they do is through Andy, he meets this other guy named D,
the
Cuban, right? Who basically wears this scary looking face bandana the whole film for obvious reasons you'll learn later. And so it's and through D, they find another guy, who basically has the connection, he can get on the plane, he can offload the stuff. So Rodney's starting to think big. He goes to check this thing out.
Yeah. So let's just kind of slow it down from here. Is he now has the means to actually try and go and find this cocaine on an island, right, and has means to get it back where he thinks he can flip it and get his money back and get out of debt, right?
Right.
So that's where we should
want
to leave it
when
there.
You're kind of, I think so. Just kind of first of all, we could talk for a minute about what you thought of the documentary overall.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
It's a pretty. Well, I'll just ask you first. What did you think of it?
I thought it was. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's actually quite refreshing. Because it's not filmed like a documentary. At first you kind of think it's like a mockumentary, is this real? And then they're interviewing the people, and at the same time they're having the people that were in that they're interviewing that were involved in this crazy story, which is real, by the way, actually do the reenactments as well,
which is cool.
Yeah, so it's it really kind of helps bring it together. The editing was great.
Yeah, there's a couple cool little musical interludes.
I like the Weezer one.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did that song America's great, fuck yeah, it's great, whatever. However the lyrics go, but
that was kind of that was refreshing as well because it's they kind of in retrospect it's you could tell this story pretty quickly, but they drew out the tension in a way where you're half the film, I'm just you got to be fucking kidding me.
I know. I'm are these guys real? Did this really happen? You keep asking yourself that.
Exactly. And you're also asking yourself, at what point does this story get kind of twisted around based on the people who are involved?
Yeah.
Because you have a guy who's dipping the whole movie and just kind of seems like he kind of lost it all and he wants to tell his story. And then you have a druggie, and then you have this other guy who's like this thug, and so it's kind of like all these people together, but it's like, yeah, this shit happened and it's entertaining. So it's like they found a good way to tell the story, which I thought was really cool.
It's really, it's a cool story. So I highly encourage people to check it out because it's a quick hour and 20. It's almost reminds me of like a well done like podcast or something. It's like the kind of content or story you'd hear on like Radio Lab or something, to where
American Life or something.
It's so it holds your attention. It's pretty funny in ways you didn't think it was, because these are real people and they're like totally exposed. So it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, glad you liked it. Once something I recommended is like not cringe inducing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh geez, this is something violent and depressing.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. Again.
Yeah.
Got me again.
Ryan must be having a rough week. Better send him some flowers.
Yeah.
The what's it called again? The Legend of
Cocaine Island.
There you go. There's your documentary for the week.
Yeah.
All right.
Check it out.
There we go. Highwaymen, Cocaine Island, Joker trailer, episode 70 in the can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some other stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I mean, I got my Avengers tickets.
Okay. I didn't get mine, but
I only go to theaters where I can reserve a seat, and I went to one that maybe has, I don't know, 40 seats in it. It's like a much smaller, intimate kind of one, where they bring you drinks and food. I talked about that before.
Yeah.
Like I'll handle that. I'm not going to go sit in a huge crowd. Like I can't do it anymore. And I don't want to hear everyone just munching on their popcorn and all that crap. It's like,
I may wait a bit, to be honest. Maybe a week.
Yeah.
So, like
we'll
if we
let
do
the
a
hype settle down, because, we
we
got to get people, no one's going to listen to the episode on day one unless they just saw it. And they
might wait a couple weeks. So, we could do like a spoiler edition a couple weeks in or whatever.
We'll talk about it in a couple weeks, but we'll just, first impressions, and then we'll really dive in.
Sure.
So we can kind of close that whole Marvel chapter,
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you never know. It could turn the page and be, good.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
We're just gotta wait for Ant-Man to go up Thanos' ass, and then we'll take it from there.
Pretty much that's all he's got to do.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, stopping by for episode 70. Really, if you like the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app or media browser, or wherever you're listening to us at. You can always check us out over at the Harsh Review, HARSCH review.com, and get links to all our socials and things like that. And if you like playing games or watching games, go over to twitch.tv/Sharsh, SHARSCH. And you can see me hang out with the #1 Avatar fan, Grimwolf Prime, and sometimes Totes Allen or Pocket Wolf from the
Pocket Wolf
podcast.com. Dylan.
Pocket Wolf. I love it. I love these names. Pocket Wolf.
Yeah. He's a little Grimwolf Prime, basically. So he's
Grimwolf Prime Lights.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun. So, anyways, that's gonna do it for us. My name is Sean.
Yeah. I'm Ryan.
Have a good one.
You too.